One of the best things about Survivor is without question the challenges. Heck, for some casuals, it's the only reason why they watch the show. Seeing a bunch of players who are starving and weakening by the day, competing in grueling challenges to win immunity and great rewards is always fun to watch. You then have unique challenges like sketchy questions and know your jurors, which despite the lack of action, it's still fun to see the social dynamics of Survivor having a massive impact on the quote physical part of the game. And then of course, you have your challenge beasts like Jonathan and Ozzy just completely dominating the competition, while players like Tatia and Dan are remembered solely for their horrendous challenge performances. But sometimes, the challenges of Survivor aren't so fun to watch, as some contestants are put at a clear disadvantage in certain challenges, giving another contestant the massive edge in the competition. What's going on, guys? I'm FlynnMasters, and today, we'll be looking at the most unfair challenges in Survivor history. From an obviously unfair circumstance to potentially $1 million unfair challenge, we'll be looking at the players who are far and away given the advantage over their Survivor peers, or challenges in general that were simply unfair to all parties involved. Before we begin, be sure to smash that like and sub button for more content like this. With all that said, let's begin with number 5. At number 5 is the Final Four Immunity Challenge from Survivor Pearl Islands. The Final Four of Dara, Fairplay, Lil, and Sandra entered Tribal Council expecting this to be a trivia or know your jury type challenge, as that was usually the case in old school Survivor. But Jeff then revealed that the jury would be competing against the Final Four in a trivia challenge, and if the jury won, then none of the Final Four would win immunity. So basically, not only were the Final Four competing against each other, but they were also competing against a team of 5, essentially making this a 5 against 1 challenge. Unsurprisingly, the jury, who were living the good life at Ponderosa, would end up winning the challenge, thus making all 4 vulnerable that night. Dara would be voted out unanimously, with many fans speculating that production intentionally stacked the odds against her, as she was far and away the best physical competitor left in the game. But Lillian, Sandra, and Fairplay would make for a much more entertaining final 3. And I hate to say this, but it won't be the last time you see a player get screwed by an unfair late game immunity challenge. At number 4 is shooting balls into a bucket, usually taking place at the end of a Survivor challenge. Now on paper, this challenge doesn't seem too unfair, as this has been a common ending for challenges in recent Survivor seasons. But in Survivor Cagayan, we saw this pop up at the Final 15. Going into the Final 15 Immunity Challenge, Cliff was in danger of going home, and being that Cliff was a huge gift for the show, Survivor just so happened to have this immunity challenge take place right before the tribe swap. And I think now's the perfect time to say that the reason why Cliff Robinson was such a huge gift for the show was due to him being a former NBA All-Star.
Cliff scores the second for the Braun Tribe. We're tied 2-2. Cliff with the third for the Braun Tribe. There it is. Cliff scores the 5th point for the Braun Tribe. Braun wins immunity.
Seriously, the end portion of this challenge is so unfair for the opposing team that the only way they could ever win is if the team with the NBA legend threw the challenge. Oh, wait a minute.
Let's just throw it today. Let's get him out.
It's Trish that is now struggling.
Just come
Only
back.
3 feet down. Jatia can't get it. She's going to swim back, costing them a ton of time. Spencer going to shoot for the Brain Tribe.
Oh!
Brain Tribe now has another problem. Neither of the women in the water can get the ball back to Spencer.
Dude, we tried so hard to blow that challenge. Seriously, Green Tribe, I tried to help you out, but that team sucks.
We saw NBA champion Scott Pollard also get this same opportunity in Ko Wrong, along with Dean Kowalski, using his college basketball pass to save himself when he was on the chopping block in Island of the Idols. As I said, it's one thing for someone like Jonathan to compete against the Romeos and Lydias of the world, but it's another thing to have freaking pro NBA players compete against survivors who possibly haven't shot a basketball in decades, if not their entire life.
Scott can win it right here.
Dad, what's he doing?
Winning.
And he does. Scott Dole wins reward.
At number 3 is the 3 Chops You're Out challenge we saw originally introduced in Survivor Marquesas. Now yes, the first installment of this challenge led to the first ever power shift in Survivor history and eventually leading to the fall of the Road to 4. But still, that doesn't make this challenge any less unfair. This challenge is trivia based, and simply put, if you get the question right, you get to take a shot at whoever you want. So theoretically, you could answer every question right in this challenge, yet be the first one out, simply because you're being targeted by the majority. And likewise, somebody who gets all the questions wrong could make it far into the challenge, since they're in the majority alliance and nobody wants to target them. And yeah, the obvious problem with this challenge is that there's literally nothing the people at the bottom can do about this, unless they miraculously get all the questions right and the other players are always wrong, which is obviously not realistic. This challenge paid massive dividend when Ali and Pascal realized they were on the bottom of row 2, but after that, we saw players like Dave and Rhino, two physical threats, have essentially no chance to save themselves. This ultimately led to season 29, San Juan del Sur, where the majority didn't even hide their strategy, pissing off Jeff, and leading to the death of this challenge in Survivor. Good freaking riddance.
Are you gonna go to exile? You guys have had 2.
I'll go.
I've only had 1.
Yeah, you guys haven't been to one yet.
Is this going to be a friendly, we're just going to see how this goes between the 5 of you for the rest of this challenge?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
So.
Why are we wasting our time? Just tell me who it's going to be.
Probably my mom's gonna win.
I'm gonna win.
Missy.
Missy.
Yeah.
All right, Missy.
I'm gonna win.
Everybody else over here. Missy, come over to me.
At number 2 is not only an unfair challenge, but probably the lamest challenge to ever take place on Survivor. At the loved ones visit of Survivor HHH, the players as usual competed for a chance to spend the day with their loved ones. And the challenge they competed in was a rock draw game of chance? One by one, the castaways and their loved ones drew rocks out of a bag, and if they had different colors, they would be eliminated. Last pair left standing would win the challenge. No, I'm not kidding. This is an actual challenge that took place on Survivor. The obvious flaw with this challenge is that unlike any other challenge in Survivor history, this is based solely on luck, and we all know how brutal the luck of the draw can be. And the family reward challenge is easily the most special reward for the players, as after not seeing their loved ones for a month, the contestants are going to fight super hard in a challenge to spend the day with them. Yet, due to production having to scrape the original challenge at the last second, it was literally the luck of the draw that determined who would receive love that day, with no chance to use any type of challenge skills to your advantage whatsoever.
Chrissy, the door is open. Ben and Kelly didn't match. If you match your husband, you win love. You're in control. Chrissy draws white. White! Chrissy and Keith match. Give them a hug.
There's a tie here for number 1, as both these challenges took place at the final immunity challenge, making it all that more unforgiving that these challenges were unfair. They came in back-to-back seasons too, starting with Guatemala. The final 3 of Rafe, Stephanie, and Danny had to balance on a wobbly beam while holding onto a rope. After the first hour, they had to let go of one rope, and after another 30 minutes, they had to let go of the rope entirely and find a spot on their pole to stay on for the rest of the challenge. And after Rafe's mental lapse, Danny was basically guaranteed the win at that point. Why, you may ask? Well, because she was taller than Stephanie. Since the players had to rely on resting on a log for the final part of the challenge, Danny was in more of a standing position, while Steph was forced to be in more of a squatting position, obviously making the challenge much more difficult for Stephanie. After a hard fight, Stephanie dropped out, while Danny was just chilling the entire time, as if this supposed battle of will endurance challenge was no big deal.
How you feeling now, Danny?
I feel the same.
How about you, Steph?
I can't move.
And then the following season, Survivor Panama, the challenge beast of Terry looked to break the immunity record with his 6th immunity win, while his arch nemesis Aris looked to stop him. Yet, Danielle was the one to win the challenge. This challenge was a balance on a pad challenge, and because it took place on the water, it basically came down to whoever weighed the least, giving Danielle the massive advantage. We saw a similar flawed challenge in Survivor China, with Courtney having the clear advantage over the rest, but again, this is $1 million challenge. Terry and Ars's pads were literally sinking into the water, as opposed to Danielle, who weighed 20 plus pounds less than these strong guys. And to make things even more ridiculous, Terry's reward the previous day was a whole bunch of food, which again, would theoretically make this challenge all that more difficult. You just simply cannot overlook how terrible it is to have challenges of this magnitude, having a basic fundamental flaw. But hey, Terry's elimination led to the formation of the final 3 to prevent Challenge Beast getting screwed over. Oh, yeah, never mind. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and Survivor in general, then be sure to smash that like and sub button, as I'm always grinding out Survivor content for you guys, and the support would mean a lot. Let me know in the comments what you think the most unfair challenge in Survivor history is, and until next time, have a good one, guys.